Hi, this is Trinisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about charity. So, what made me think about charity is today I was reading the Bible, and depending on what Bible you have, I was reading out of the King James version because I have like a little tiny mini Bible that I keep in my car. So, I was coming from the gym and I was just like, I want to spend some time with God, and I don't, I guess I could be this transparent. So sometimes I hear God and it's like clear and it's just like, okay, I'm being obedient. This is what He wants me to do. And most of the time, the more obedient I am, the more that I hear from God. And lately, once I have, you know, sold out of books and, He's telling me to do like other things other than the next step that He gave me, I have no other instruction. And so while I'm in this waiting season, I I haven't been hearing him as often as I usually do, or or as loudly. Like when he does speak, I do hear it loudly but I have to be intentional about the way that I'm listening. I can't just say, God, what is it that you want me to do and listen to music and have my phone on and watch TV and television and do all of these things that are distracting me from what it is that God's trying to tell me. And I think it's important for us to quiet our sounds around us, to allow ourselves to be completely present in our time with God and the moments that we spend with Him and our relationship being intentional and really being obedient and not just whenever you feel like doing it kind of thing, but when God says, hey, I need you to do blank, just do it and be obedient. And for me, sometimes when it doesn't make sense, I start to feel like, is this really God? I want to make sure I'm using the best discernment. I'm not doing something that Satan is trying to tell me to do. I'm doing everything that God is telling me to do. And I say that because sometimes when you're doing the right thing, when you're on the straight and narrow, when you're doing all of these things to give glory to God, the adversary will come along and he will try to distract you. He will put things in your life that seem like they're God. And most of the time I can decipher whether it's God or whether it is the adversary because I'll either feel like rushed to make the decision or I will I'll get a bad feeling about it. And it sounds weird, but really that's like some of the things that really help me be able to discern whether it's God or Satan. and and really it for the most part it does work, but every once in a while I'll get a moment where he'll say, do this, and it'll be in the moment, and it might be something that's me being obedient and I really just need to do it in that moment because that's when God is telling me to do it, not that Satan's telling me do it now because you don't have any other opportunity, like in a scarcity mindset kind of way, but in a I need you to be obedient right now because this will benefit you or this will benefit me, and it will allow people to see that this is, you are a representation of me. So it's not always just about you getting super blessed by being obedient. Sometimes it's just about showing someone what Christianity looks like or what love looks like in that moment. And you never know what someone else is going through. And God loves all of His children. So He may be using me to, let's say, pay for someone's meal or to go somewhere and say something inspirational to someone. And I randomly go there just because God told me to, not because I like wanted to be arrogant or make it all about me or anything like that, but I'm walking in my purpose and I'm being intentional about what it is that God's putting on my heart to do. And so sometimes, like when I'm different places, like I said, you don't know what the other person's going through. The other person could have been through a really horrible thing, or they could be in that moment where I was just like in limbo, or I was really feeling like I don't know where else to turn. And you never know if that word that God put on your heart to give someone is what they need to hear to turn their life over to Him, or if it's going to be something that gives them the motivation to keep going instead of giving up on themselves or giving up on the things that seem like they're overwhelming. Like that, sometimes hearing that little inspiration or that word really does encourage other people to feel God when they couldn't feel him in that moment. And I think sometimes for us it's really arrogant for us to feel like we're doing something and it's for our benefit. And I I hear like a bunch of stories, and there's these really good stories that symbolize like what Christianity looks like, and I think I think even those stories show what truly leading with love looks like. And it's funny because as I read the Bible, I was reading First Corinthians, I think it was chapter 13, and it was like the last verse, the last two verses or the last verse of the chapter. And as I was reading this verse, I kept seeing the word charity, and this is because I have the King James version. If you look in the New International Version, it says love, but I didn't know that. And so when I was looking at it and I kept seeing the word charity, 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 I went and I searched and I researched and the Bible, because when a word is used in the Bible, sometimes in the back of the Bible in the dictionary, it'll have a definition of what the word means. And then also on Google and a bunch of other places, or you can look on theology or biblical theology or whatever else.com, and it'll pull up a lot of different nuances that really help reference words that were used in that time and the meaning behind those words, or the the symbolism behind those words or whatever else. And so as I do my research, I learned that charity means the highest level of love from God and the love that you give to others. So in the New International Version, it just says love. But having that context allowed me to see that even it's funny because when we're in this world and of this world, we think of words like charity or, rejection as bad. Like it's a horrible thing. Like, oh my gosh, I hate being rejected because it makes me feel so horrible. Or I hate seeming like a charity case or, like someone's form of charity. And we really make it seem like these things have a negative connotation. But I think it's just because in the world and in society, we've used these words to depict negative connotations instead of using the word for its initial definition or initial meaning. And so I just think it's so funny how we can put our own spin or our own belief on what a word really means, or make it mean what we want it to mean in that scenario, and not really understanding the true meaning of what that word really meant. And so when I think about charity and how it's the highest form of love that God can give and the love that we give to each other, it really makes me think of how we think of charity as a bad thing, but it's really something good. Really, it's something that we should have. It's something that we should lead with. We should lead with that type of love, that type of charity. We should be wanting to have the highest love that God gives. We should be wanting to give each other the highest love that we can give. Have a love for one another. Love thy neighbor. Love ourselves. And sometimes I feel like we forget what the true meaning of these words are, or what God's intention really is for our life, because we're so focused on being in the world. And we have so many influences around us that really make us believe these things. Like believing that being different is something wrong with being different. But it takes someone being different to break a generational curse. It takes someone being different to see things that other people won't acknowledge or recognize. And for us to really truly be able to see those things means that we are part of the solution. And sometimes it doesn't feel good being different because you want to fit in, or you want to be not like other people, but you want to feel a sense of community. And being in a community does not mean devaluing yourself. It doesn't mean lowering your standards. It doesn't mean settling for things that are beneath what God intended for your life. It doesn't mean that you need to go and just follow what everyone else is doing when you're intended to lead. And I think this is especially true for men because we need men as leaders, not just men that are trying to fit in with everyone else and do what everyone else is doing and just do things because they get the recognition from their peers or from other guys in their group or other women who are doing the wrong thing or whatever else. I think we really truly do need men to step up and be the leader that they were always intended to be. And I know not a lot of people are going to agree with me when I say that, but I truly feel like being a man is one of the highest honors that God could give you. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with being a woman, so don't just like pick apart what I'm saying and try to make it into something negative. But and I really feel like men truly have a lot of responsibility. And I know it takes a lot of restraint and sacrifice and dedication to be able to be everything that God intended for men to be, especially with the temptations of the world, especially with the way that the world is in society. And society doesn't praise men for being a good person or for doing the right thing or or leading the way that they're supposed to lead or loving their wife the way that they're supposed to love their wife or stepping up to the plate and taking care of their kids and being a good father and trying to be present in their father's life and really spending time with the people that they truly love. And I feel like, I know not a lot of people are going to agree with this, but I really feel like we really have to cherish each other. And we really have to acknowledge when people are doing the right thing. And I know I've heard this from other people on YouTube before, but God put it in my heart to really say something about really acknowledging things that we always perceive as negative and really turn it into something that's positive. And he put it on my heart because of the word charity. It's like it gave me a revolution and it really made me think of things in a different way. It really made me pivot my mind from all of those things that I was thinking before to something that's more positive. Even women. I think that women need to be appreciated as well. I think that sometimes I don't know if I'm gonna step on any toes, and I don't want I don't want to cause a lot of like chaos or anything like that. I really just want to speak the truth and just be super transparent and vulnerable in this moment. But I really feel like women that are good women need to be acknowledged as being a good woman. And sometimes I know this won't change anything, but I see a lot of men that have good women just take advantage of them. Just walk all over them, act like they don't care, like every woman is good. And not a lot of women are good women. And I could see them being unappreciated. I could see them being like mistreated or talked to however, or they'll stand up for themselves. And I could see them being taken for granted a lot. And a lot of men will say, well, I've been hurt in the past, or they just know that the woman's always going to be there. And I get it. We do have to have more standards and really stand up for ourselves, especially if we're good women, so that we can be appreciated the way that we're supposed to. But I think we really have to love each other. We really have to love on each other. And, and it sounds so simple, but not everyone is going to do it. And not everyone's willing to do it, especially when people have been hurt in the past and they're trying to protect themselves. But protecting yourself doesn't mean being nasty to someone else or treating someone else badly because of the hurt that you've encountered in the past. It means really truly loving yourself and acknowledging that you deserve better, knowing that you deserve better and not settling for anything less than what God intended for your life. It's not about trying to punish someone because punishment is on God. That's something that God does. God will make your enemies your footstool. He's the person that he is the one. I don't know why I keep saying person. He is the one who will fight all of your battles for you. You don't have to go try to go out of your way to make someone else feel badly for something that they did because they have a price to pay. And don't just be hoping that someone has a price to pay. Move on with your life. Work on yourself and really just focus on how you can improve and how you will be the best version of yourself when you meet the person who will actually appreciate you instead of trying to hurt and make someone else feel the way that you felt. Is that really truly what you want, for someone to feel the pain that you felt? Because it's only a temporary satisfaction. It's not something that's going to heal you. And that hate and resentment is going to block all the positivity that God wants to bring into your life. And I know no one is going to listen to me. So I'm saying this, and everyone's probably just like, oh, whatever, I'll do what I want because they don't know what I've been through, or I've been hurt so many times. I just want other people to hurt. And I've been there. I felt that before. I wanted people to feel the pain that I felt. I wanted people to just suffer the way that I suffered. I wanted them to really feel that that pain of loss that doesn't compare to anything else. And I know that sounds so cynical and you're like, "What? But you're so Christian." No, I don't believe that now, but in the past I really was that person. I really felt like if I'm hurting, these people deserve to hurt just as badly as I did. No one protected me from the pain, so why am I protecting other people? And that is not the way to live. You are only hurting yourself. I only ended up miserable and feeling complete sadness almost all the time because of the hate that I had in my heart. And it's really no way to live. You're only hurting yourself. You feel like you're satisfied in the moment. You feel like you have instant gratification, like you are temporarily fulfilled. And this is exactly what this person gets, but it really does you no good. It doesn't do your soul any good. It doesn't fill your heart. And it really just makes you the same person that that person was that hurt you. I know you want to believe that you're different, but if you went that route, if you really try to hurt this person like they hurt you, you really are no better than that person. And and if you truly say that you love that person, why would you want to hurt that person regardless of what they did to you? You can't allow someone else to change your character. You can't. And I know it's easy to say that in a video when you're not getting hurt in real life, but it is not it is not good for you to claim that you love someone and hurt them just as badly as they hurt you. If you can't get over it, you have to move on. It's not going to be easy. It won't be easy. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like, oh yeah, just move on. Like you hear all the people in relationships tell you all the time, and they haven't had to be without their person. So they're in their relationship content while you're single or you're, on the outs with the person that you're with. And they're like, "Oh, just move on." Like it's that easy, and it's really not easy. I know how hard it is. I know. And I'm never going to sit here and claim that it's easy to move on, that it's easy to just forgive and forget and not forget, but forgive and use it as a lesson. Let go and let God and use the lesson that you learn from that so that you won't make that same mistake in the future. So that when you meet the person who God really did intend for your life, you won't feel like it was all for nothing. It will be because it helped you become a better person. It'll be because it helped you grow and learn and develop into the person that God always intended you to be. And even for me, my mindset was really immature when I was really young. And if God would have given me a person who would have truly been healthy, who would have really loved me, I wouldn't have treated that person right. And I know this because because I actually did have a person when I was younger who, can I share this? I guess I should share this because it might help someone who might have done the same thing or were thinking about doing something similar. And I hope this is enough information for you to know that it's not the right thing. Don't do it. Just don't. But I had a person who when I was younger treated me really well and was kind and attentive and nice and respectful. Like, this is the type of person who your parents would want you to date because he wasn't like trying to pressure me to do anything. And, he was really kind hearted and a good listener and stuff like that. And I was so scorned and heartbroken because the person that I was with, I dated before I dated that person. And then we ended up getting back together. So I I was hurt so badly the first time. And I know you're probably thinking, you were hurt so badly the first time. Why would you get back with him? This is my story. You can't change the past. Let's just move on and not harp on the mistakes from my past, okay? So so I was so hurt and heartbroken from the things that this person did. Like, and it wasn't that you'll have to read my book to learn more information about it, but I really just because I didn't give myself the time to heal because I really felt like at that age I really thought guys had no feelings at all. Like they didn't really care about people that we were too young to be serious anyways. Like no one has real emotions. It's just a thing. I didn't really take any relationship seriously because we were so young. So I was just like they don't really care about me. They don't really like me. It doesn't matter. And really horrible attitude to have. Like I I don't want to say I'm ashamed of it because I feel like it was a hard lesson that I had to learn that really taught me that not every person is the same. And just because someone else hurts you doesn't mean you should hurt someone else. Or just because, you've been heartbroken doesn't mean every person should be heartbroken. Or you can't just assume one size fits all for any person. Like, this person might have similar qualities of your ex, but just because they have similar qualities doesn't mean they're like them. Or they could be completely different. Not every person is going to be the same, so you can't just lump everyone into the same category. And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn. And it was, I still, like, I just forgave myself for that as I wrote my book. Really, because I really regretted the way that I treated that guy. And he totally didn't deserve it at all. He really didn't deserve any of the things that I put him through. And I did it because I was hurting, because I was insecure, because I felt like this is going to sound so crazy, but even back then, the guy that I was with had some like really cruel tendencies. And so he would say things like, and I'm not saying this because I'm trying to like take a dig at him or anything like that. I just want to share my story to help other people. But I forgot about this. This is why it's like making me think about it and like because I'm just like, oh wow. Like now I totally understand why I look at most people as the same and like how I can be so cynical when it comes to thinking about like people being happy and stuff like that. Like I know now that healthy relationships are real, but back then it really when I think about the person that I used to be, sometimes it does make me tear up because I think about a lot of the mistakes that I've made and it really makes me acknowledge like when you give your life to God, everything that you've done wrong is like super bright and it really stands out. So it's not just that I'm doing the most or anything like that. It really is when you rededicate your life to God, every bad thing that you've done is super like clear. It's not just like, oh, I did this wrong, whatever, move on with my life. It's like, I really hurt people, and I feel it in my soul like that was not right. And it does make me feel badly. It doesn't make me feel good about it at all. It's not like, ha ha ha, I got this person, you know, not back. I got this person for something that someone else did. It really feels horrible. It doesn't feel good. So when you're thinking about all the bad decisions that you want to make, really think about, and I know some people, if you're like me, you're thinking, well, I'm never going to be in that stage because I'm always going to be messing up, you know? So I'm never going to be in a place where I'm going to really need to acknowledge any of my flaws or any of the things that I've done wrong because I don't plan on walking the straight and narrow. But one day, when everything else fails, when all of the things that you've tried don't fill you up, when you have tried to seek satisfaction and temporary satisfaction or fulfillment from all of these other things and nothing happens or it does nothing but leave you empty, you're going to want to turn to something, and God is going to be that thing. And when you turn your life to God, even though you're not feeling right, you might not feel right now that this is what you wanted to do, but one day you're going to get to a place where that's what you're going to want to do because he can he can perform miracles in your life and take away those things and make you new. And you will have to acknowledge all the wrongs, all the bad decisions that you made. They will be so clear. And you will have to pay for it. And I'm not saying it because I'm trying to scare you away from God. You are already paying for it now with the emptiness, with the non fulfillment, with everything else. And when you give your life to God, when you clear out all those toxic things, like I had to, I had to acknowledge all the things that I did wrong. I had to really look myself in the mirror and see the mistakes that I made and face it head on. It was super difficult. It wasn't easy. It wasn't just like, oh, I did these things wrong. Okay, tomorrow's a good day. It was like, wow, I can't believe that I really did these things for my own satisfaction. Not because I needed to do it or someone made me do it, but because I felt like it was all about me. And when you really have to look yourself in the mirror, when you really have to acknowledge your flaws and the things that you did wrong, you'll really feel it in your soul. You're gonna feel it. It's not just like a flyby thing. It's really you have to sit in it and acknowledge it, and so that God can take it and use it for good. And that's exactly what he did for me. He didn't just pretend like I would never have to worry about those things anymore. I had to reach out to people that I hurt in the past and unintentionally or whatever else. And if I couldn't reach out to them, I had to really write down what areas of my life I needed to fix, like if I couldn't get in touch with that person for whatever reason. And I needed to, like, I had to do the most difficult things to get to the place where I am today. And it was not easy. I had to reach out to the friend who I didn't really get to talk to about some of the things from the past. I had to reach out to some of the things from my childhood trauma and face those things head on. I really had to talk to the people in my life. I had to talk to some of the most difficult people about some of the most difficult things that I try to forget about. And it was hard. It wasn't easy. But it led me to this place where I feel peace and joy and hope because I got rid of all that negativity. I got rid of all those things that were a part of me. And I allowed God to break those pieces off of me through all the tests and the trials and the tribulations. And He continues to work on me to get me to the place where He needs me to be because I'm never going to be perfect, but I'm always going to strive for perfection. I'm always going to try to be a better person because that's what God wants for me in my life, and that's what I desire in my life. And let me stay on course. Even when we think of rejection, when we think of the word rejection, we think of, oh my goodness, this person doesn't want me. Oh, I feel like no one will ever want me, or no one will ever want to be my friend, or no job will ever accept me, or whatever it is that you're telling yourself that's negative that you need to let go of. You need to let go and let God. You need to put it out of your mind. You need to negate those things with too positive connotations. You need to really just hone in on positivity. Allow that to devour the negative things in your heart or the negative things in your mind. Allow all of those positive affirmations and confirmations to penetrate your mind, body, and soul so that you could be everything that God created you to be. And when I say body, I feel like I have to clarify this because I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way. I mean, your body is a temple. Instead of thinking, oh, I hate the way this looks on my body. Oh, I hate the way that looks. If you don't like the weight that you're at, start exercising. Get permission from your doctor first because some people have health issues. Figure out what you can do and do the exercises. If you don't like the fact that you have acne or something, try different acne programs. Go to a dermatologist. If you don't like your hair, change your hairstyle. Get a different wig. Wigs are so popular now, it doesn't really matter. And for men too, get the little frontal piece or whatever it is that you got to get if that's what you're insecure about or that's what you want to work on. Take care of your body. Feed your body the stuff that will nourish it and give it energy so that you feel better about yourself instead of feeling like you need to give up. You have to really be intentional about everything that it is that you're doing in your mind, body, and soul. You have to really be taking in things. When you're learning things, learn things that will help you and not just things that'll try to drag you down or talk down to you. Or like if you're listening to music like me, I listen to Christian music all the time. Unless at a gym and I don't have my headphones like earlier, or I'm in a car with someone else. I'm not just telling them, hey, turn it to another station. I just sit in the car, pray, or I'm talking to God, or we're having a conversation, and I just try to say, I rebuke any of the music that I'm listening to right now. And I really just want to keep my mind clear because you don't realize it, but even as the music plays in the background, one time I didn't rebuke the music and I could feel my flesh like start to tense. I could feel like things start to make me feel like the person that I used to be. And it made me want to, I don't know what in the world is happening, but it really made me want to be the person that I used to be, or like I could see old habits coming back in just because of the music. And that's just me. Some people can listen to different music and it doesn't affect them at all. But for me personally, I can't do that. I might, be able to be in a car listening to something and hear like an old song that I heard a long time ago and just acknowledge that the song is playing, but I don't just sit in that moment and allow the song to turn me into something that I'm not. Like, yeah, I don't want to go into examples because I don't want to make it seem like I'm about that life, but but certain stuff makes me I could feel like the anger start to come back from like me not being able to deal with all the things from the past that I've already dealt with. So now I'm more clear and more calm and just more intentional about my life. I'm more leading with love and kindness than leading with always trying to feel like everyone's against me. So so you really have to you have to really be intentional about your body if that's what you're insecure about or that's what you're worried about. Like be more healthy for yourself. If it's your skin and maybe your skin you have some kind of, I don't know, something going on, and just go to the doctor and get it checked out or whatever else. And if you want to say, well, I don't have any money to go to the doctor, go to the library and do as much research as you can because there's a lot of information out there that might even possibly help you. And that's free. Ask for a pen, use a printer paper or whatever else if you don't have a notebook or whatever, and learn as much information as you can about the type of body that you have. If you can go to the doctor free, like once a year or something, go to the doctor, figure out if you can exercise, figure out what you can do for your skin or your body, and use that information, run with that information. Don't just take it and then do nothing with it. When it comes to your soul, if you rededicate your life to God and you're giving your life to Him, your soul feels fuller. You feel like you have everything you need. You are reading the Bible and the information is feeding your soul. You're listening to gospel music, maybe, and that's feeding your soul. You are listening to sermons and that might feed your soul. Or you might read a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It, and that might feed your soul. The vow that you speak to yourself might feed your soul. You loving yourself could feed your soul. Self-care could feed your soul, feed your body, and it could make your soul feel full because you are giving to yourself. And when it comes to your mentality, making sure that you exclude people from your life who no longer serve you or that don't mean you well, who are ill-willed. People who want to see you fail don't need to be in your life. People who love you, who are being honest with you, and you might not always like that they're being honest, but you need that in your life to keep you on track, to keep you humble, so that you don't think that you are are the best thing that since sliced bread, or like feeling yourself so much that you are idolizing yourself, or you are so egotistical that it's all about you. You really have to have that person in your life that allows you to stay humble and to stay obedient to what it is that God is telling you. And you need people in your life who love you and encourage you as well, because what's one without the other? Not only do you need to be knocked down so that you, not knocked down, but humbled, because I don't want you to ever think that I really truly mean someone should knock you down. I really mean that someone should keep you humble. God will keep you humble if you ask Him to keep you humble. Every day, almost every day, I'm asking God to keep me humble, because I don't want to get to the place where I ever believe that I'm the person doing anything that God's doing. I could never do what God does for my life. I couldn't. And I don't ever want to believe it. I want to always acknowledge that God is the one who's moving me in position, who's opening doors for me or closing doors for me, who's moving people in my life who are supposed to be there, and removing people from my life who no longer serve me or are not beneficial for my purpose. And so I don't want this video to go too long, but in conclusion, and when we think about charity, think about God's love, the highest level of love from God, and loving each other. Instead of thinking of all these words as a negative connotation, really reverse it, reframe your mind, and start believing more positive things. Start speaking life into yourself and the people around you. When you need to spend time with God, quiet your surroundings and allow God to really be able to speak to you. If you can't hear Him, read the Bible more. If you can't hear Him, just keep it silent around you. Be obedient. The more obedient you are, the louder His voice will become, and the more you will hear what He's saying. And if God gives you direction on one thing, like for me, He told me, to write the book and to do the book sales. And, He's given me the next step, but that was last week. And so since then, He hasn't given me any further instruction. But I also want to make sure that I am being intentional, that I'm doing everything that He's telling me to do, and I'm not just doing my own thing, like trying to pretend like my idea is His, or pretending as if I know what His plan is, or taking steps in the wrong direction like I did that one time. I don't ever want to, if God says, I'm not ready for you to be in a relationship right now, I don't want to be in a relationship right now. I don't want to rush into anything. I don't want to try to get with someone who's not into me, because if it's God, you'll know. You will just know that it's God. It's not that someone will have to convince you. It's not that you'll have to do the most. Everything will work out the way that it's intended to work out. And I think that sometimes the thing that causes us to be the most stressed is our negative self-talk that we do, having the wrong people in our circle, and believing that we can do God's job when we can't. We really, really can't. Even though we want to try to pretend like we make things happen on our own, I know that it's truly God that's moving in my life. It's not me. I'm just being obedient. And and another thing that I forgot to mention, but on the last line of the scripture in First Corinthians chapter 13 says, have faith, hope, and love, but most importantly, have love. And I truly believe that because faith without works is dead, and you have to have hope for the things unseen. And love is one of the strongest things that you could ever possess. And God's love is unlike any other love that you will ever be able to experience in your life. And when you experience God's love, it allows you to love other people. So when you think of charity now, going forward, I hope that you think of the highest level of love that God can give you and the love that you will give to others. Lead with love and kindness. Don't lead with that resentment or that hate that you had or that hurt that you had. Give yourself the time to heal. And then when the time is right, when God's ready for you, you can lead with love with your family and friends right now, just to practice before you meet someone. And then when you meet someone, really truly lead with love. Don't worry about keeping records of wrongs or, being boastful or just doing the most and not appreciating the person that you're with. Really appreciate all of the good things that that person does and try not to think about any of the things that they don't do. Like if they they take you to a restaurant and you're just like, oh, I just never had a boyfriend. You finally get a boyfriend or something, and he takes you to a restaurant. Don't just complain about the restaurant because it's not the specific restaurant that you would pick. Appreciate that. Appreciate the fact that they're willing to do that. Appreciate the time that you get to spend with that person. And remember where you were before you got into that relationship. The devil will try to make you really unappreciative and ungrateful for the things that God blesses you with. So in order to negate those things, you really have to keep a positive mindset. You really have to call on God. You really have to stay focused on what it is that you do have instead of what it is that you're lacking. Because when you're with God, you lack nothing. But the adversary will always try to remind you of the things that you don't have to make you feel like God, as if God is a liar, and He's not. He's the God of abundance. So continue leading with love and acknowledge that you can do anything through God who strengthens you, through Christ who strengthens you.